Hey everybody, welcome to Kindred Spirits. I'm your host, Christy Brower, and of course you are listening live right here on Marvelous Monday, here on 12radio.com, and I'm excited to be here with you today. I just want to say Happy Human Rights Day, Happy MLK Day, however you celebrate it. Some of the kids in my family have called it Milk Day because they don't quite know what MLK means, and so we've had to have that conversation and explain it, which I am always happy to do because Martin Luther King Jr. is certainly one of my heroes and someone that I look up to, that I want to emulate, that I want to be like, that I want to spread the same kind of message that he spread. I want to do the same work he did. And so I'm excited to be here with you guys today. It's fun for me to get to have a show on Mondays because I always get to be on the air on MLK Day, and that makes me happy. So I'm excited to be here with all of you. Please join me in the chat. I am in the chat in two ways. So you will find me live on Facebook, live on video, right there in our One Radio chat room. So if you go to 12radio.com and you click on chat, that will bring you right into our Facebook chat group. If you have not joined before, just ask and my producer Scott will let you in. You will see that there is a pinned post at the top of the page that is my banner. Scott put that there for me. That's where we'll chat. So if you want to ask for a reading or you want to comment on our topic today, that's where you do that. But you can also see that below that is the live video of the show. So I am videoing myself as we're doing the show today. So if you want to watch the show, you can. Now you may notice there's a little sound delay, and there's a difference in sound between the radio player and Facebook Live player. So just listen to one or the other. You don't want to do both. It might make you feel like you're losing your mind just a little bit because I will not be stereo. I will be off for sure. So those are ways for you to participate in the show today. I will be doing readings and taking requests for healings and clearings later on in the show. So you can post those requests in the chat now if you would like to. But I want to talk a little bit about my topic today. I want to talk a little bit about a lot of things today before we get to that. So, if you have been listening to me this month, that I am doing a whole series on resilience for the month of January. So we've already talked about resilience in our thoughts and in our emotions. Today we're going to talk about resilience and support, and how we need support in our lives in order to be resilient. So what does it mean to be resilient? Well, it means that we can bounce back from difficult experiences. It means that we can return to center, that we can return to that place that is a place of peace inside ourselves. It means that we can return to a place of strength even after a difficult experience. And so it really means that we can roll with the punches. We can roll with change in life. We can roll with whatever comes our way. We know that we have inside of us the kind of resources that we need about anything. We all developed different kinds of resilience from childhood, depending on the adults who raised, excuse me, were they people who had from difficulty? Were they people who bounced back? Did they have good resources? Did they manage their emotions and their thoughts? Did they have support? Or did not? Did they have trouble with those kinds of things? And if they did, we may have grown up having trouble with them too. We develop different levels of resilience throughout our lives and have different periods where we're more resilient, other times we're less. Right now, we're going through such a tremendous shift as a human collective in pretty much every way that I can possibly think of. And because of that, I felt like I really needed to talk about resilience a lot right now. It's a really, really important element of what we need to do to move forward as humans. We have to be able to return to center. We have to be able to get back to what is our strength in order to continue moving forward, in order to continue making progress and not getting stuck in fear and not getting stuck in pain and not getting stuck in a place of avoidance or denial. We have to persevere, right? We really do. So that's where this topic really came from for me. So this week I wanted to talk about support and about how we don't do this stuff alone as humans. We are not meant to be alone. Humans are pack animals, right? We are meant to be with other people. We need support. We live in a strange world because in some ways we are more connected than we've ever been. The internet does that for us. Electronics do that for us. Information does that for us. So we have all of these connections, but within those connections, we also have distance. We also have the anonymity of being behind a computer screen instead of being face to face with somebody. So sometimes we say or do things that we wouldn't normally say. We aren't always honest about how we're feeling. We don't always have direct face-to-face human interaction. We need those things as people. We don't function very well as humans alone. Loneliness is actually kind of an illness that can cause all kinds of physical and emotional issues. And so we need support. We need a tribe of some sort. And I'm not saying that your tribe can't be online, because I think your tribe can be online if you are in a position of being able to be honest with people, if you are in a position of truly feeling accepted and supported and loved. I think that's possible. But I think there are lots of ways to do that, and being in person is one of them that is very important. So we're going to just talk about some things relating to that. We're also going to talk about how we develop support systems with people based on our connections to each other as human beings, and not necessarily on our always being the same. When I was a kid, I remember hearing adults disagree with one another and talk to each other and not always see eye to eye about things. And that didn't end their relationships, that didn't end friendships, that didn't end family relationships. People could be different, could feel differently about things, could have an opinion that wasn't the same, and still be connected to each other. That has changed in our world, in my lifetime. We are at a point now where we have to all agree or we can't be friends. Have you noticed it? I'm sure that you have. It's a strange thing to me, because I do think that a part of supporting one another is supporting our differences, allowing everybody to have their own beliefs, allowing everybody to be who they are, and not expecting sameness. But that is exactly what we do. We do it to ourselves, we do it to each other. We eliminate people out of our lives if they're not the same as us, if we don't agree. We cannot agree to disagree. I mean, I remember that phrase as a kid, hearing that phrase. Well, let's just agree to disagree. Okay, let's go on and have fun, right? That was okay. And anymore, it's like, that's not okay. If we disagree, then we have to part ways. And that creates such distance between us. That causes so many problems with developing support systems. If you have to agree about everything with everyone in your life, your circle just got really small, didn't it? So it's something I want us to think about and discuss and sort of work on today, because we have to figure this out, don't we? And Sky in the video chat says we can, but so many people become bullies over it. Right. So it goes too far. That whole, we can't just agree to disagree, now we're going to argue about it, now we're going to put each other down, now we're going to get nasty. No, that's not the point. I've been thinking a lot about, and I wrote about this in my Power Peak article. I did post that in the chat if you're available, or of course, Mark's Power Peak over at 12house.com. I write Christy's Quill for that every week. And, I have had some pretty significant medical challenges in the last couple of years, as a lot of you know, and was feeling the need for some support from people who really understand what I've been going through, because I have a rare immune system disorder. And so lots of people do not understand this. Lots of doctors do not understand this. And so I needed to be able to talk with people who had the same kind of condition, who'd had it longer than me, who understood, kind of where I'm coming from, what I've been through, that kind of thing. So I joined an online group. It's a Facebook group with about 3,500 people that have the same condition as me. And they're all over the U.S. Some of them are in other countries. They're from everywhere. And it's a really interesting group because the thing that brings us together is our condition. We are very people, obviously, philosophically, religiously, politically, very different group of people. When watching people's discourse with each other, you can see that, there are lots of different belief systems there. But I never see any nastiness in this group. I never see any arguing or any, putting each other down or that kind of thing at all. What I see is we found something in common. We found something that was common ground that then keeps us together as a group, even though we're different people. Even though we believe a lot of different things and see the world in a lot of different ways, we found one thing that keeps us together. And that's, I think, a key that we have to remember, is that you're not going to find a tribe of people who are all exactly the same as you, right? Neither am I. We all have different perspectives. We all see things differently. But finding that little thread of sameness, that little thread of connection that brings me together with this group of people has brought me a tremendous amount of support. I feel like I have more resources now to deal with what I have going on in my life than I ever have. And that's come from lots of different arenas, really. But one of them is this group. And I use this group as an example simply because we are such a diverse group of people, yet there's no infighting. There's no nastiness. We can support each other, care about each other, be friends with each other, be there for each other, even though we don't see eye to eye on all kinds of stuff. And that's okay. It doesn't mean we can't care about each other. But this is a place I think that we have to go when it comes to resilience. We need support. We need people. We all do. And it's okay if those people are different than us. They don't have to be the same. Now, there's a difference between agreeing to disagree and not seeing eye to eye and someone using their beliefs to harm another person. That's where the line is crossed. In any direction, from myself, from anybody else. You don't have to agree with something about me. But does that give you the right then to hurt me because you don't agree with me? No. And that's not what I'm talking about at all. And of course, we cannot tolerate that. We have to continue to stand up for equality for everybody on the basis of human rights as human beings. And that really is where my inspiration from Martin Luther King has come from, is that idea that we really are all the same because we are all human. I know it's a big topic. I know it's a really topic. But it's something that I want you to think about as far as how do you reach out and develop your support system in a broader way? And how do you do it knowing that you're going to encounter people that don't always agree with you, that you don't always see eye to eye with? Does that mean that you got to, pull back into your hole of loneliness again? Or can you find a way to have common ground with people? I hear this a lot from my clients and my radio listeners that I live in a small town. I'm into alternative spirituality, I'm into New Age and metaphysical stuff, and there's nobody here like me, so I feel really alone. Okay, I get that. I totally do, because of where I live. I entirely get that. It doesn't mean that there isn't anybody in your area that might be a support to you, because I think there are. You have to look for them. But it doesn't mean that there aren't other ways that you can get involved and have support and develop your system of support and develop your resilience, even if you don't have people who agree with you on a spiritual level, right? Maybe you get involved with a domestic violence program, or maybe you get involved with the animal shelter or the food bank or, the soup kitchen or something like that. It doesn't have to be about spirituality, although in getting involved with a group like that, you are living your spirituality, aren't you? You're living your beliefs. You're out there. You're out there to serve and help humanity, and bring forward that love of people, even if you can't talk metaphysics with somebody while you're serving at the soup kitchen. You're still living your truth, right? And you're developing your support system. That's what I'm talking about, is reaching out further, putting those beliefs into action. And I'm not saying that you're not, because I think most of you are. I really do. But I just think it's an important conversation to have, that we have to find a way to connect into our communities, even if we don't always see eye to eye. And I know it's hard. I do. I live in a place where I am very different from most of the people where I live when it comes to beliefs, when it comes to philosophy, when it comes to politics, everything. I'm very different than the majority of the people who live where I live. Now, there are small pockets. I've got lots of support systems here with people who, think like me. I also have lots of support with people who don't think like me, but who we can come together for a common goal. We can come together because we're all human and we want to support others. We can do it, but we have to be willing to stretch a little bit. We have to be willing to, not react or respond to everything that's said. To recognize that everybody's on their own path, and to recognize that it is going to take some time to grow this idea in humanity that we are all the same on the inside, as we're all human beings. That's a battle that's been waging for a really long time, right? That was definitely one of Martin Luther King's battles. I'm going to say most definitely was one of the things that he continued to fight, and we are still fighting that idea that we aren't any different. We're all the same on the inside. We're all human. We carry those same traits inside of us, right? So I'm going to share a couple of my favorite Martin Luther King quotes. We're not going to do a meditation today. I just wanted to mention that because I just feel like we have a lot to talk about. I do have a stone and an energy tip of the week. We're going to talk about some of that. But one of my favorite Martin Luther King quotes: "It is not possible to be in favor of justice for some people and not be in favor of justice for all people," right? All people. That's where I'm coming from. That's where we have to develop that support system. Justice for all people. Even people that maybe I don't agree with. Maybe people that believe differently than me. Maybe people who don't like me because of who I am. If I'm really living that truth, I have to believe in justice for them just as much as justice for me, don't I? Right? I think that's absolutely where we have to go. And I know it's not easy. And I'm not saying that it is. But it's how we truly develop resilience. It's how we truly recover from whatever we've been through. If that's as a collective or if that's as individuals. When we can truly see us all as one human family. And therefore we have to stand up for and protect everybody. And we have to find that thread of connection right here in our hearts. It exists in all of us. That's when we truly have that kind of support, isn't it? That's when we have it. That's when we can give it. That's when you can be there and support anybody when they're in need. And when you can do that, you're going to get that back, aren't you? Now, I know we don't live in a perfect world. And I know not everybody looks at the world like this. I do know that. And I do know that we have to do what we have to do to protect ourselves and protect our families and keep ourselves safe. But I think we've gotten so fearful of that protection that we're creating these divides between ourselves and other people. Those divides are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's hurting us as a collective. That's definitely not making us a resilient species by any means. We have less support now than we used to. We have less understanding now than we used to. Those divides are bigger and bigger because we're coming together in these tiny little groups of well, here's my 10 people who all think the same way as I do. And here's 10 people over here who all think completely differently, and we're going to be at odds. And we can't look at it that way anymore, guys. We just can't. We have to look at it as justice for all people means justice for all people. Everybody. Agree or disagree with whatever philosophies. Doesn't matter if we're all one human family, right? My other favorite, probably my number one favorite Martin Luther King Jr. quote. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. I've talked about this before, that whole idea of the fear of annihilation and that cycle of the fear of annihilation that we get stuck in as humans. That they're going to hurt me, so I'm going to hurt them before they hurt me. Now I've just fulfilled their fear that I was going to hurt them, so they're going to hurt me back. And we do this cycle, right? It never ends until somebody stops, right? Till somebody stops the fear, somebody stops the hate, till somebody says, I'm not going to react. I'm not going to react in kind, right? I'm going to react with love, even when you react to me in hate. That's where we have to go with this, isn't it? That's how we become resilient. That's how we recover from whatever we've been through as an individual or as a collective, is by choosing our responses, by choosing love, by choosing light, by putting out into the world what we want to get back in every instance. Correct? Okay. I know. I'm really on a soapbox today, but I can't help it. This is a really, really important day. I think Martin Luther King Day is always an important day, but this year I think is a particularly important one. And that's why I wanted to be here and share that with you today. Let's see. There's a lot of comments coming up in the chat, so I want to get to some of them, and I'll get to your requests for readings and healings a little bit later. Judith says, sadness is the result of loss of connections. Yeah, it is. It is. So we have to reconnect. We have to take the initiative, don't we? We have to make the first move to reconnect in some way, don't we? I reconnected in a way recently that has been surprising to me. You guys know, if you listen to me very long, I live in eastern Idaho. I was raised a Mormon. I'm not a Mormon anymore. I came out as a lesbian 20 years ago. Not a Mormon anymore. Of course, struggled a lot with that very fundamentalist religion and the beliefs behind it, and the beliefs about me and my family and those kinds of things. I've gone through a lot of difficult times. Well, I was recently invited to be a part of a group called the Mama Dragons, and I don't know if you guys know what the Mama Dragons are, but they're a group of women, they're a group of moms, really, who are either involved as Mormons or have been in the past, who are the mothers of LGBT children. I was invited to be a part of the group because of the work that I do in the community with Pride and PFLAG. Even though I don't have an LGBT child, I am LGBT, and I'm doing a lot of work that is supporting kids in our community. So I was invited to be a part of this group. I was hesitant at first because I'm not part of that religion anymore. That is not my church, right? It is, however, my community, and it is my culture. When you're raised in a particular very active religion, you can't help but it permeate every area of your life, even when you're no longer involved in it. Where I live, it is very much the primary culture. So I accepted the invitation to be a part of this group, even though at first I was like, oh, I don't know, I have some issues. I do. I have some issues still with that church and, with those beliefs, and I don't know if this is right for me. It has been a really, really good experience for me, and it's a very good illustration of exactly what I'm talking about today, is that I have been able to find common ground with this absolutely tremendous group of people. They're all in different places as far as their religious beliefs are concerned, and it doesn't really matter to me. I'm where I'm at, they're where they're at. But we found that sameness in that belief that all love is good. All people are good, that, members of the LGBT community have just as much right to be happy and safe and grow up and have families and do the things that they want to do as anybody else. And that this is a group of women who stand up for and protect the rights of those children. Protect, kids who are being bullied, protect kids who are being kicked out of their homes, who are suicidal, those kinds of things. It's been a really healing experience for me, and it really illustrated this point that just staying away, because that isn't my belief system anymore, was a mistake. It was a mistake. I did it for a long time out of protection for myself, honestly. But at this point, it was time for me to jump back in. It was time for me to get involved again. Not in the religion or the church itself. That's not ever going to happen. It's just not me. But does it mean that I can't be a part of that group of people? That I can't find common ground and work together with them? No, it doesn't. Are they an amazing group of humans? Yeah, they are. And I would be seriously missing out had I not accepted that invitation to be a part of this group. It's really, really important for all of us to look at that. Where are we avoiding? Where are we avoiding? That we can offer support, we can receive support, and we can bridge gaps, right? We can build bridges with different groups. And that is an opportunity that I've had, and I'm really excited about it, and I'm going to continue working on that and using that in my life. But it was a great illustration for me, and I hadn't realized that I still needed that support. There is a familiarity in that group of people simply from the culture because I grew up in it. And now that I've lost my mom and I've lost my grandmas, and I don't have the kind of mama dragon type support that I did when growing up with women in my family who were there for me no matter what. I needed that support. There's a sense of comfort in being a part of that group that I didn't actually expect. Yeah, Sky says that my puppy agrees. Yes, she is in the other room barking her brains out. I don't know what her problem is. But I wanted to share that with you because it is a way that I have been working to reconcile in my own community rather than separating myself from groups where maybe I'm at odds in some way. Finding a way to step back into that group, finding a way to bridge some gaps. I'm not going to say it's always easy because it isn't, but it is important. And part of it is that I have to remember that whatever other individuals believe is about them. It's not about me. It's about them, and that's okay. My beliefs are about me. Their beliefs are about them. We can still be friends. We can still find common ground. We can still offer support to one another, even if we don't agree. We have to bridge those gaps. And that is how we become more resilient as humans. It is. It's how we bounce back. It's how we recover. We have more support. We have a broader base. We are more open-minded. We can see the world in a more global way. That does create resilience. So I just want to share that with you. That's really what's been in my heart in the last few days. That's really what's been on my mind. And I just want to share some of the things are being said in the chat, because I know you guys are, I'm preaching to the choir here. I know I am. Judith says, like the decent politicians, they have to see both sides and are accused of being two-faced. Right. And it's okay. This is not about political parties anymore. This is about humanity, isn't it? Let's see. Michelle says, I feel we are more intolerant of others' opinions now versus when we were young because of the corporate media that is constantly in our eyes and ears, divisive information meant to keep us at one another's throats. I agree with you. There's some plan there, isn't there? We have to be smarter than that. We do. Yeah. Elizabeth says, soapbox very much needed. And Michelle says, great day for a soapbox. The dragons approve. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. Judith says, I have a similar dichotomy. A group I was with, I still have the feeling they are trying to save me. I would like to have more contact, but I really don't want to be saved. Yeah. And that's a hard thing. If you can just be connected as people without there being the need to change anything or push anything. That's important, isn't it? Yeah. I needed the separation for a while for my own strength, so that it's not like I don't even feel pushed. There's no need to be pushed into any kind of religious anything. This is simply about a group of people who have come together to offer support and be friends and be a support network to one another and offer support to people who very much need it. And I don't even feel triggered by the religious stuff anymore, but I needed that distance, I think. Let's see. In the chat, makes sense. Hard, though, when you have PTSD, you end up wanting to shut the world out. Yes, you do. And so you have to work on your emotional stuff. You have to work on you and get strong. So this is a progression, right? So this month in talking about resilience, I started with thoughts, and then we went to emotions. You got to work on the thoughts and the emotions part first before you go to the support part, so that you've worked on your internal stuff before you go to the external part. So that's part of it, I think, that we have to remember, is that we have to do the internal work first. And that's where I'm at, I think, with my participation with the Mama Dragons, is that I have done that internal work first. I have worked through a lot of my own PTSD and my own trauma and difficulty surrounding a religion, so that I'm not triggered by my experiences, and I can be a part of that group and not feel so affected by it. So it's a process. It takes some steps, doesn't it? Okay, so I want to talk about a couple of things. So the stone of the week, because I just feel like we need it, is preonite. So I'm going to hold this up. This is preonite. Preonite is the healer stone. You can see I'm wearing it as well. And preonite it's a powerful stone for helping us to heal our own issues in order to not carry them out into the world. And that's really key. I think that's really, really important, that we don't carry that energy out into the world. When we heal ourselves, when we work on our issues, we don't project them out into the world. We need to be able to heal ourselves from within and not carry out into the rest of the world our own trauma, projecting it onto the collective energy. So I think preonite is a great stone to help with that. And then the energy tip is energy tip number 1. And I'm just bringing that up. So energy tip number 1 says, your energy body is like a light bulb on a dimmer switch. Choose people and situations that turn up the switch. Now that energy tip does not say choose people and situations that are exactly like you. No, because it can be very different from somebody, but be very inspired by them, can't you? Can't you be very inspired by somebody else's energy, even though you may be different from them? It doesn't mean, having your circle of 10 people who are exactly the same as you. How are you shifted or changed by that group of people? You stay the same forever that way. So look for new experiences. Look for reaching out a little further, experiencing a different energy, experiencing a different philosophy. It's inspiring. It can be very inspiring. Also, remember that this energy tip works in both ways. Your energy body is a light bulb on a dimmer switch. Choose people and situations that turn up the switch. You also want to be one of those people who turns up the switch, right? So part of it is that when we go out into the world and we seek support and we offer support and we are present in our communities and we are doing that work publicly, not only are we benefiting from the people we are around, they are benefiting from us. Growing up in a very conservative place, in a very conservative religion, for some people who I know, was the first gay person they ever knew. That had an impact, right? That had to have had an impact. My light brought up their dimmer switch, didn't it? It changed the way they saw things. I have many people in my life who have a completely different view of the LGBT community because they know me. So they know a person, a real live person who is just a person, I'm just me and just living my life. And that is an example that is very important. And all of us have that example inside of us in some way, don't we? Every one of us has something that is different about us, that when people can get to know us and understand something that they weren't familiar with before, it might be your race, it might be your religion, it might be a medical situation, it could be anything about you, that somebody meets you and says, I've never known anyone with that before. Now I understand it in a better way. Does that make sense? We have to shine our light out into the world in order to have a positive impact, right? Okay. Whew, I know, this is a big topic. Means a lot to me, as you can tell. Okay, so I wanted to get to a couple of things before I get to your readings and your reading requests. And of course, please continue to comment in the chat. This is certainly something I want us to continue to work on. And I do want to acknowledge that when we talk about having a tribe and having a supportive community, right here, what we're doing right now at 1-2 Radio is one of those very things. I know it is for lots and lots of you. It is for all of us who are hosts and advisors as well, that we have a tribe right here. This is a powerful tribe. Now, I also know that we don't always see eye to eye, and we don't always agree on everything, but that's okay. We have come together in a place of support for one another in a very powerful way right here on 1-2 Radio. And I love that. That is a tremendously valuable experience for me, as I know it is for many of you. I want us to take that sense of community that we have right here at 1-2 Radio, and I want us to spread it out into our local communities. I want us to find a way, and it doesn't have to be about metaphysics or about New Age spirituality or about astrology, but it can be the way that I see us support one another in this chat room 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's always somebody talking in here and somebody else jumping in to provide some support. How do we carry that out into our communities? How do we take that we have developed here? And I know that there's a sense of safety in this group. We're a closed group. It means that, there is some protection here. But how do we take that feeling that we have of support for one another and project it out into the world and project it out into our local communities? How do we do it? I'd love to know. I have some ideas. I'm sure you do too. So, if you've got something to say about that, please mention it in the chat. But it's something I want you to start thinking about. How do we take that sense of community that we have right here and develop it out into the world? How do we do that? How do we shift the collective energy from being constantly at odds to being in support of everybody? How do we do it? Martin Luther King Jr. did it. And I'm not saying he solved everything, because he didn't. But he solved a lot of things. And he made a lot of progress. And it's something we can continue to work on. I know many of us are. And we can continue to do that. But how do we create that sense of community? How do we create that sense of openness? How do we create that sense of support rather than conflict? It's a question. It's not an easy answer. Okay, so I want to share with you, I'm coming back to 1-2 Academy. I did take a break through the holidays, but I am returning, and so I have some classes and things coming up. I'm starting a couple of groups that are not necessarily a class, they're more of a group. And so my first one is this Saturday. So once a month, starting this Saturday, so it'll be the third Saturday of every month, I'm going to do a group clearing. It's a 30-minute session at 1-2 Academy, and I'm calling it my monthly energy clearing group. So each month we will meet for a group clearing. I will read the energy of the group, What are we feeling? What does everybody need? And then we'll do a guided energy healing and clearing. So it's just a 30-minute session. It does not have to be attended live. It will be recorded. You'll get the MP3 of it. If you are registered, I will read the energy of everyone registered. And so if you are registered for it, even if you're not there live, you will still benefit. And so I just thought it might be a great way for us to get together once a month and really clear whatever heavy energy or challenging energy we might be carrying that needs to be released. There will be some kind of theme. There always is. You know, like my theme of resilience this month. I chose this theme because this is some energy that we all need to develop right now. I feel it in us as a collective. So it'll be a similar idea that every month I will sort of read the group and determine what's the theme. What is it that we need the most right now? What do we need cleared? What do we need boosted? What do we need released? What needs balanced in us? And then I'll do that in a guided clearing process with all of us together. And you'll have it as a recording so you can listen to it more than once if you feel like you need the help to, continue a process that we begin in the session. So that's coming up this Saturday. And then next Monday, so a week from today, on the 23rd, I'm coming back with my Energy Intelligence Group, which I've been doing, I did for most of the year in 2016. I'm going to do it once a month now in 2017, along with these other groups that I've got coming up. And this is a class that is a Meet Your Spirit Animal class. So we're going to do a guided imagery process to meet your spirit animal. We're going to talk about skills to communicate with your spirit animal, and you're going to also learn the symbolic meaning of spirit animals and how to interpret encounters with spirit animals and animals in the real world. So we'll talk about groups of animals and what they represent, and what does that mean for you, and how to call upon that energy, how to use that energy to support you and guide you and give you the things that you need. And I'll talk to you a little bit about my own experiences with that and just give you some skills that help you to make that connection. So those two things are coming right up. And then starting in February, the first Saturday, and that one is at 7, that spirit animal class is at 7 p.m. on the 23rd, 7 p.m. Pacific. Also, that's a recorded class. You don't have to attend it live. You will always, my classes always, if you're registered for them, you will get a download link for the MP3 file afterward. And so if you can't attend live, that's okay. You can still get the class. But coming up, starting in February, the first Saturday of every month, not every February, but every month, I'm going to do a channeled session. So this is a limited to 8 people at a time, simply for time allowance. And so I will channel a message for each person in the group. Again, you don't have to attend live. If you are registered, you will receive a channeled message. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. My show is called Kindred Spirits because I have a lot of kindred spirits. I work with a lot of different archangels and goddesses and animal spirit guides who come forward to communicate with me on your behalf. And that's exactly what I'm going to do in the group. And so everybody will get an individual message. I'm really excited about starting that. I haven't really done a consistent channeling group before, but I felt prompted that now is a really good time that we could benefit from that. So that is coming up on February 4th. That will be my first one. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. Alita in the video says, staying with it when the tribe doesn't agree. Staying connected is such a good way to be that real support and send a message of real connection out into the world. There's more, of course, there is. But it is very true that it's finding a way to stay connected even when you don't agree. That is where we are falling down right now when it comes to support, when it comes to resilience in relationships. We have to work on that our connection to people as people needs to be more important than our connection to our agreement with people. True? Okay. All right. So those are some things I wanted to share with you. I know there are questions and reading requests in the chat, so I'm going to get to some of those. And I just want to say thank you for being here with me today and participating with me on this topic. It's definitely one near and dear to me. Next week, I will be talking about resilience again from the perspective of energy. And so it'll all be all about energy body and how we use that, how we use our energy bodies and resilience, whether we are resilient or not, and what we do about that. So, okay, so I want to get to some comments in the chat. Before I run out of time, I know I've got about 10 minutes left. Jane says, happy MLK Day, Christy. I've been having some physical health challenges and wondering what you're picking up around this. Doctors don't seem to be able to help. You betcha, Jane. Let me take a look. Of course, I'm not a doctor and I cannot diagnose anything. So when I look at you, I'm looking at your energy body. Now, when there are issues in the energy body, those issues can then impact the physical body. We know that to be the case. You know, Jane, you have a really big throat chakra attachment, but it is in the back of your neck. And it is a very large attachment. Now, it started out as a thought form attachment. So thought form attachments are the kind of attachments that come from emotionally charged thoughts. You know, we fire little arrows at each other. You know, when you say somebody stabbed you in the back, they kind of did from an energetic standpoint. It doesn't mean that they did it on purpose. It's not intentional. People are not nearly as aware of the impact or the power that our thoughts have over our energy bodies, but it is there. So, Jane, one thing that I see is a huge drain on your energy body that's coming from that throat chakra attachment. It's right in the back of your neck. It's drawing life force energy away from you, which will impact the function of your physical body. So I want to clear that. And so I'm going to pull that cord. And we're just going to heal that energy and release it and send it back to where it came from, because it's still attached to somebody else. Someone in your life that had a really strong reaction to something that you said or did, or simply had a strong reaction to you being honest or truthful about how you feel about something. And then they had a very strong reaction to that. And it has turned into kind of a more malignant kind of energy, an angry energy where it's pulling away from you. And so I did clear that from you, and I'm going to do a little healing in your throat chakra in that area of your body to heal the damage that was done to your energy body. But you're now disconnected from that attachment, which does mean that there's no drain on your energy body anymore. There's also no impact from the attachment itself. So an attachment like that, it's like plugging two people into each other. And, you know, it's like taking an aux cable and plugging it into two different speakers, and then there's feedback between them, right? There's energy that travels back and forth along that pipeline. That can be very hard on you physically and emotionally, because you're feeling inside of you somebody else's emotional energy. And so it has an impact on you. You don't know why you feel this way. You can't do anything about it. You can't seem to understand it, which makes sense because it's not actually your energy. So how would you? So I did clear that from you. Let's see if that helps. You know, Jane, of course, we can always work more deeply on something like that in a session over at 1-2 Listen, because, you know, we're not really talking to each other. We're just sort of in the chat. So it's nice to connect on the phone to work on something like that further, but that definitely is a good start. Maureen asks for a clearing as well. Whew, yeah, your root chakra is all shifted off to one side. It's giving me a lot of like pain in my low back and hip, and I'm just going to shift that back into place. Good, okay. I just want to keep that energy lined up. It's really, really important that we keep that root chakra centered in the middle of your body, right at the base of your spine. And if it is shifted to one way or the other, then it disrupts the flow of energy through your body. And your root was definitely shifted. That comes from anytime your sense of safety or security or stability is shaken, can cause a shift in the root. And so something likely occurred that caused that to shift out, and then it stayed out. And that's why you've been feeling the way that you have. But I did put that back into place. I think you'll feel quite a bit better. So thank you for that question and for being here. Let's see. Liliana said, I would love a clearing. Had rough days, feeling pain on my left side. Ooh. Yes, you are. There's Okay, so I'm a kinetic empath, which means that I feel things in my physical body that are going on in your energy body. So Liliana, it's like there's all this pressure building up on the left side of your body. So this has to do with one of the cycles of energy in your body that we draw life force energy from the earth up through your left foot. It travels all the way up the left side of your body and then pushes down the right side of your body and clears out the right foot. So it's a drawing in of new energy, a drawing and a breathing out of old energy. So it's another one of those energetic breathing cycles. So I feel like the left side of your body is so congested that the energy is not traveling through your body and clearing out your right foot. It's not making it through that process at all. So it's just, there's congestion building and building in there. And that's what's causing pain as far as your energy body is concerned. So I want you to do this with me, and all of you can do this because this is a really, really important cycle of energy in the body. We want to keep it functioning well. So just close your eyes and breathe in a couple of times. And then when you breathe in energy up through the bottom of your left foot and breathe it in and draw it all the way up to the top of your head. And when you breathe out, push it all the way down the right side of your body and out your right foot. So we're going to breathe in and draw it up and breathe it out and push it down. Okay, and breathe it in, draw it up, breathe out and push it down. Okay, a couple more times. Breathe it in and out. One more. Breathe it in and out. Very good. Okay, so Liliana, I would encourage you to do that exercise about 5 times every morning for a little while to really work on that cycle of energy in your body to keep it flowing and working the way that it's supposed to. Okay, let's see here. Judith said, it's scary shining one's light. I'm so scared. It is scary. I got to tell you, I got involved with the Pride organization in my community. I'm the president of that organization. And since I did, I've been on the news a bunch of times and I've been in the newspaper a bunch of times. And it is scary shining your light. I mean, I'm on the news and in the paper because I'm gay in a very conservative place. That's scary. I totally get it. But we have to do it, don't we? We have to do it. We have to shine our light. We have to do that work. That's how we create a supportive community rather than a combative community. It really is. Let's see. Laura says, I would love a body scan. I have a lump in my throat. So curious about that. Just celebrated my birthday on Saturday. Any message about what lies ahead for me in my personal new year? Okay, so Laura, happy birthday. Happy birthday. So that lump in your throat, sorry, it makes me want to giggle because it is energy that it needs to be expressed. So I want to giggle or yawn or cough or something because I want to express that energy. It's emotional energy that's stuck. It's some words that have gone unsaid. So this is all a part of the same conversation, Laura. The message for your personal year is that this is a year for you to speak up about how you feel. This is specifically for you to speak up about things that you're not so happy about, that you maybe feel uncomfortable about, that maybe aren't exactly what you want in your life or in your relationships. This is an opportunity to say those words. That's what this personal year is about for you, okay? That's what will clear up that lump in your throat. And so really think about what are the things that you kind of just keep close, that you don't really say anything about, that you don't speak about, that are happening inside of you. The emotions are happening inside of you, but the words are not coming out. And so this is an important year to work on that expression, okay? So thank you for that question. Judith says, the animals are so awesome. I borrow them and take them to old folks' homes. The animals are natural communicators. They are. And that's why I'm excited to do my spirit animal class, because there's a lot we can get from that. So I'm excited to share that with all of you. Katie says, can you tell me when I will start my new job? It's a big deal for me, a career change that's better for my family and myself. Okay, I feel like there's a 2 to 4 week period here, Katie, for you. And so look for that in the next 2 to 4 weeks. I feel like even at 4 weeks, it won't quite feel like you're completely transitioned, but at least by then that transition will have begun. So I do feel like it's going to be a little slower than you want it to be. And not in a bad way. Not that it isn't going to happen. It is going to happen. But it's not going to be quite as fast as you want it to be. So just look for that. Trust that timing. Recognize that things happen in the timing that they are meant to. Okay? Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. I'm completely out of time, but I really appreciate your presence with me. I did want to share with you that I am a guest this week on The Long Road with Kai Greenway. We're going to be talking about telomeres and DNA and kind of what that's all about. So I did an article for Gaia.com about telomeres a while back. Really interesting topic, and I'm excited to share all of that with you. So that is on Wednesday, so be sure to tune in for that. I will also be back here on Thursday with you with the Psychic Sisters, and I do ask you to always stay tuned for the rest of our great live programming. Following me is The Keys to Awakening with Velvedon, followed by Alita's Audacity and Kathleen Peterson and friends. I just want to say happy MLK Day, and as always, thank you for listening to 12 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.